Eagles. Eagles.
Well, what can I say? I mean, that was an unreal win. The Philadelphia Eagles looked down and out, being dominated in the first half. They come back in the second half. They pitch a shutout. They get a late touchdown. They make Travis Kelce, without Taylor Swift in the house, a kind of a goat, and they keep rolling on. These games that they look like they have no business winning, and they find a way to win. Welcome to the Pond Lehocky postgame show. We are live from Ocean Casino. I am Mike Missinelli, tonight with Mark Farzetta and Seth Joyner. And, fellas, I got to be honest with you. I didn't see this one coming. After that, I looked at that first half, and in every category, the Eagles were getting dominated, and all of a sudden they flipped the script, and they win the game. So it's a matter at this point, Seth, that I want to go to you first, because I know you're always afraid of the way they win these games. And so one of these days they're going to get their comeuppance. I know that's what you're thinking. But they just find a way to win. Who would have thought they would have won this game 21-17 after the Chiefs led 17-7 in the first half and looked like they had every answer? They blitzed the heck out of the Eagles. Jalen Hurts looked confused. I don't know what to say.
Listen, at 17-7, I didn't believe that the Eagles could come back from that deficit. But I was reading a stat this week that Jalen Hurts is at his best when this team is behind. And what we just witnessed tonight, man, listen, this team knows how to win. They know how to finish. They know how to find a way to win. I don't know whether they can win a Super Bowl playing the way that they keep playing. But you know what, Mike? They keep winning. So we can analyze the game any way we want to. But when you look at the standings, the Dallas Cowboys, the San Francisco 49ers, the Detroit Lions, they were drooling on their shirts tonight, assured that the Eagles had let one fall and come back to the pack by one. And they snatched defeat from the jaws of victory and won this damn game, man. I'm just like, I'm blown away by what I see.
I am too. I can't believe they won that game. But Farzy, they get to the second half, and their first drive, because they love that first drive in the second half, the first drive goes 3 and out. I'm looking at the stats. They had 70 of the 79 yards they had with several minutes into the third quarter on the one drive where they scored the first touchdown. They had 9 yards. And it looked like Steve Spagnola, the defensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, had every answer. How did they bust out of this?
Well, the only explanation is the one that answers the question, what does good teams do? Good teams find ways to win games. I mean, there is no logic. There is no stat. Well, hold on a second. What have we been saying all year long? You're not going to be able to play with these kinds of mistakes against the upper echelon teams. They have made mistakes against good teams. The Dallas Cowboys, they found a way to win that game. They made mistakes against Miami, even though they played one of their better games in total against Miami, and they beat Miami. And now they come out against the Kansas City Chiefs, the 2-time Super Bowl champion. We all know the resume, and they find a way to win this game. You can say what you want about drop balls by the Kansas City Chiefs, and it's true. It's absolutely true. But they found a way with that 41-yard touchdown pass with Jalen Hurts, pass that set up the touchdown of the tush push to Devontae Smith. They put that ball right in the breadbasket of Devontae Smith. This team has done this all season long, and we've always said, you can't get away with that against mistakes. Well, those kind of mistakes against teams like the Chiefs. They got away with those types of mistakes against Kansas City Chiefs tonight.
Well, here was the awakening for the Philadelphia Eagles. After they started the third quarter, we're going, it's not in the cards tonight. All of a sudden, they get a punt return from Britton Covey, which energizes the drive, and they get DeAndre Swift. They start running the football. They get DeAndre Swift for a 35-yard carry that gets to the Kansas City 15, and all of a sudden you go, okay, well, they score here. It's a field goal game. And 2 plays later, Hurts with a beautifully designed keeper and gets into the end zone. 7 plays, 61 yards, and it's 17-14 all of a sudden. Now, we're thinking at this point, it's 17-14. The Chiefs only give up 15 points a game, and Mahomes has got to have some kind of magic up his sleeve. And so what happens is they drive, and Travis Kelce fumbles the ball. Roby punches it out, and the Eagles get it at the 10. And that turned out, even though the Chiefs did knock on the door from that point on, that turned out to be a huge momentum killer for Kansas City.
Yeah, and that's really what we were talking about going into this game, is whether or not you could win the turnover battle against Kansas City Chiefs. They get those 2 turnovers. I know the Eagles didn't do much with those turnovers in terms of what they did with the offense, got the ball in their hands.
How about nothing?
Well, the only thing it did was negate 7 points possibly by the Kansas City Chiefs. That's the only thing it did. It took points off the board for the Chiefs, but you did nothing with it offensively.
Did they negate it, or did they do nothing with it?
Well, they did nothing other than prevent the 7 points and help flip the field, at least in some cases, even though Tony all of a sudden out of nowhere started having himself another great game in the return game against the Eagles.
They never flipped the field. They went to They went to 2 bubble screens.
2 horrible calls.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like terrible calls.
And they gave it right back to him, and the Chiefs drove again, Seth, on that. And this is where the great third down throw to Watson, where he beat Sidney Brown. Blankenship was coming on the blitz. But again, it fizzled because Watson, alligator armed the pass over the middle. And then let's not get to the play of the game, really. It looked like a touchdown to the Chiefs, a beautifully thrown bomb by Patrick Mahomes to Valdez-Scantling, who stonehands it in the end. It's right in his hands, and he doesn't come up with the play. So Kansas City did as much to give this game to the Eagles. But listen, when you shut out
Can you say that
in the
again?
second hit, well, they did. Let's face it. The receivers really did not catch football.
But that's the point. And everybody's going to be like, oh, the Eagles won. There goes Seth Joyner again. So the question that I have to ask you, when you look at the win-loss column, it will say that the Eagles are 9-1, okay? But you have to ask yourself tonight, did the Eagles win this game, or did Kansas City, in a way, give it to them?
In a lot of ways, Kansas City gave them the game.
I'm just
now
playing
there's
devil's
9.
advocate.
But I understand that. But now there's 9 wins for the Eagles this season.
Because we're looking at how good Kansas City is. Their receivers aren't very good. And Kelsey, they kept Kelsey in check, at least for big plays tonight, and then he gave one back. That bomb should have been a touchdown. A good receiver catches that ball. But the winning drive turns out to be one of these deals. Screen pass to Swift, which was a good call. They finally got the running back in a screen pass. Third down conversion pass to Smith, which was another one. And the bomb to Smith, where he made a nice gathering of the ball, slowed his route down to confuse the trailing defender, and that gets to the 1. And when they get to the 1, what's going to happen? It's the tush push for the touchdown. And at 21-17 set, with 6:20 left, did you think they were going to be able to hold on?
No, I thought Mahomes was going to do what he normally does. I really did. But you know what? This wide receiver core, we talked about it in the pregame. We talked about, Mark asked the question, what's the difference between Andy Reid as the head coach in Kansas City and Andy Reid as a head coach in Philadelphia? And I said absolutely nothing. Nothing. He went and got his franchise quarterback, 5. He went and got his franchise quarterback, 15. He built the offensive line. He finally got a defensive coordinator, that could do what Jim Johnson did. But the biggest hindrance to Andy Reid's career is the fact that they had a great wide receiver in Tyreek Hill. They let him get away. And look at this wide receiver core that they have now. They look like the wide receiver core that Donovan McNabb had before we got T.O. And they played like that tonight. They played that way. I mean, this wide receiver core and the drops by Travis Kelce, the fumble by Travis Kelce, I call it the Swift effect. But you know what? When you think about all of those things, their shortcoming as a wide receiver core is just as much at the core of what's ailing the Kansas City Chiefs as anything else. Now, you brought it up, I'm talking about it, but I'm still not going to take things away from the Eagles because, there were plays in this game that they made when they had to make it. The Byatt interception was huge. I mean, absolutely huge. The punch out by Roby was huge. Those weren't plays where, the Chiefs said, here, have this gift. Those were plays that they made. They made stuff happen, and I give Shaun Desai a lot of credit. At halftime, the Chiefs had 17 points. What was the final score?
21-17.
They blanked them in the second half.
Shutout in the second half. I'll give you another big play that we have to focus on. Kansas City did get the ball back at the 14. You thought the Eagles could bury them there. They did get it to midfield. And after they missed the bomb, a tremendous defensive play put heat on Mahomes and forced an intentional grounding, which really kind of took them out. That was a monster play.
It's huge. It was absolutely huge for Sweat to get the pressure and force the grounding, which took away third down, and the yardage. And now all of a sudden you got 4th and 20-something. And I'll be darned if Mahomes almost didn't complete that pass. And you could have, when you really looked at it in slow motion, the referee could have threw a flag for PI because Slade was early on Watson. But Watson's just been dropping balls all night long. The
ball was right in his hands.
Right in his hand.
Right
through his hand.
Second one, I think it was on the same possession as well. That went right through the hands of Watson on that possession.
Yeah, he did not have a sterling night.
No, not after the touchdown. Not after he was wide open in the end zone for the first touchdown of the game.
It's funny because Valdez-Scantling, the knock on him is bad hands. He leads the league most years in drops. And that was the play. Mahomes just couldn't have thrown a more perfect pass.
No, it was right there.
And we're sitting here talking, celebrating Eagles' victory here. Well, after looking at that play, we go, oh, no, he's open there. That's a touchdown. Blank.
Well, I'll say this. A lot of times we have walked away after Eagles games and said, you can't make these mistakes against better teams. The Kansas City Chiefs now have to say that about the Philadelphia Eagles. They can't make the mistakes that they made in tonight's game against teams like the Eagles because the Eagles aren't going to let them get away with it.
Listen,
now,
it was the Eagles' night because if they replayed this game 5 times in a row, the Eagles would lose that game 4 out of 5 times.
All right, so
because they're not making those types of mistakes on an ongoing basis. I mean, Travis Kelce's not dropping balls. He's not fumbling the ball. Those guys aren't dropping perfectly placed passes that Mahomes put in place. They're just not doing that. They're not doing that the other 4 out of 5 times. They're just not.
So you're saying the Eagles really didn't prove that they were the better team in this game?
Their record proves that they are the best team in the National Football League. Period. I hope that they cut that clip up and put it on social media.
Nope, that will not get the clicks.
Oh, why not?
Hold it. But you said 4 out of 5 times.
I wanted to Opus Pro that one.
Wait, did he just say 4 out of 5 times?
4 out of 5. Yes, he just said that.
That's what I'm asking you.
But
are the Eagles
Mike, I'm not arguing with you about that. Okay, they are the best team in the National Football League because their record says so. Listen, this team could be 5-5, 6-4 real easy, but they know how to win football games. And you can call it luck, you can call it whatever you want. They are 9-1, and there's not another team that's close to being able to win games the way that they won games.
Guys, with A.J. Brown having 1 catch for 8 yards in this game.
And another temper tantrum on the sideline.
What does that tell you?
And also no tight end, and they still won the game. They didn't get any kind of meaningful contribution from their tight ends, and they're really thin there because Calcaterra got hurt again, and they still win the game. How did they do it?
All right, so I'll ask you this question then, Mike, because this is a number we haven't even mentioned yet. What if I would have told you all those numbers before the game were going to take place in this matchup, and Jalen Hurts was sacked 5 times in the first half? There's no way you're telling me that the Eagles are winning that football game.
No, and so the only thing I can do, and we're going to have to give credit to the defense. When you pitch a shutout, you give credit to the defense. There is no way that I thought that they would be able to hold Patrick Mahomes to 0 points, despite his inadequacies at wide receiver. And the tight end's head did not seem to be in this game. And I love to make these little connections here, right? Because Taylor Swift was supposed to be at this game. This was supposed to be a love fest. Taylor Swift, her parents from Wyomissing, PA, meeting the Kelceys for the first time. She had to cancel a concert on Sunday, which was postponed to today, or she would have flown in. And he lost his mind.
The Swift letdown.
He lost his security blanket. Seriously.
It was a letdown game.
When's the last time you saw Travis Kelce play timidly like he played tonight?
I don't think I've ever seen him play that timidly. And not sure-handed, in over his head. head not in the game,
I'm
yes,
sticking
absolutely.
with the Tay-Tay story. Got to be. See, this is what love can do to you, Seth.
Listen, it's the star effect. You know, I said it way, way, way back. I said I like our Kelsey-Swift combination a hell of a lot better than I like that Kelsey-Swift combination, you know, out there in Kansas City. And I said ours would be more productive, and it has been.
Certainly tonight, especially. But, Mike, to your point earlier, just about this team not looking the same at all in the first half versus the second half, I had never, even in the Jets game that the Eagles lost, I've never seen the Eagles look as terrified as they did in this game, especially leading up to that fourth quarter.
Absolutely.
I mean, we talked about the mesh point. I'm talking about that mesh point between DeAndre Swift and Jalen Hurts. At least 2 different occasions in the game, they looked like they had never played together before.
They scored a touchdown on the first one.
On the first one they did. They were able to recover from it, but at that particular moment, it didn't look great. And then later in the game, they have that same type of miscommunication and ends up leading to a 3-yard loss, I believe, on a 3rd and 1. They ended up having to go on a 4th and 4. So that was a scary moment right there, and it did not look like the Eagles were going to establish any fluidity to their offense. They had continuously gone 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. And then out of nowhere, on the back-to-back screen plays near their own goal line, which we were all screaming about in the green room, saying, how do you run that play twice? And then they run it twice. They suck in the defense. And I hate to say this, Seth, but it's the only time I've ever agreed with the idea of a screen game being an extension of the run, because it did a lot of what we see the run do. It brought the linebackers in. It brought everyone closer to the middle of the field. And then they were able to try to get it to the outside, spread the field a little bit. That's where they got the big play there by Devontae Smith down the field.
Farzy, people, when they hear me talk about football, they think I'm a dinosaur in my thinking, okay? But I always said, the more the game changes, the more the game stays the same. The way that you slow down a fast, aggressive, attacking defense, you run delayed draws, and you saw Kansas City try to do some of that to kind of slow down the pass rush early in the game. You also run running back screens. Because if the linemen, if your defensive ends and your tackles are screaming up the field, now when the offensive linemen release, they're on the linebackers. Now you got to play. And you saw that one play where Swift got tackled on the 3rd and long. Like, if Dickerson makes that block, Swift may still be running, you know. So the game really doesn't change that much. It just takes you having the fortitude and the in-game adjustability and the creativity to say, okay, how are we going to slow down this pass rush? How are we going to slow down Steve Spagnuolo's aggressiveness? He's bringing 22 off the edge all the time. He's bringing guys up the middle every single play because he knows that he really doesn't have a great front. He's got an emerging defensive end in Karlaftis. He's got a game changer, you know, at 95 in the middle. I mean, that guy is the straight-up truth, and that's all he has. So he's got to figure out a way to generate pressure. So he's coming with the blitz, and the blitz is taking care of the run on the way to the quarterback. So the way that you slow that down and the way that you take care of that is you run delayed plays. You run delayed draws. You run screens to the running back. You run screens to the side that they're bringing the blitz. When you're going to bring 22 off the edge, run the screen his way. And they did it. But the guy knocked it down. The one time they had it, they would have still been running. They had 3-on-2 out there. So both blockers had the 2 DBs out there. If he completes that ball to Olamide Zaccheaus, he's probably still running, you know. So there's ways. There's ways, and, you know, I give the Eagles credit because in the second half they figured out, you know, how to get it right. I think they were trying to figure it out after the Kelsey turnover. They tried to go wide receiver screen. But when they got to the running back screens with Swift, it was a game changer. It was a major game changer.
Yeah, it really was. Now, this is how bad it was in the first half, folks. Hurts had 3 completions in the whole first half. The blitz and the rush when he didn't blitz was just killing him. He had no tight end threat as a security blanket. He looked kind of slow in trying to escape the pocket. He looked very sluggish. He got sacked 5 times. A.J. Brown had 1 catch and 2 targets. They only ran 18 plays in the first half, and then they went 3 and out on their first drive with only 79 yards gained so far, and 70 came on their first drive when they scored a touchdown. They did not convert until that point of the third quarter, a third down. And all of a sudden, bang, here comes that drive with Covey's punt return, and the offense cooked a little bit with DeAndre Swift with the big carry. And it was almost like the Eagles were asking the Chiefs to beat them at that point. And the Chiefs just could not follow up and score in the third quarter. Had they scored in that third quarter with the Eagles still in sluggish mode, we may have been talking about a different story in this game. But they did not threaten to score, and when they did, the tight end turned it over.
I was looking at the game against the Rams earlier in the season where you saw Cooper Kupp go up there with 96 yards in the first half and then 27 the rest of the way. The thing that has been so impressive about Shaun Desai and his defense is their ability to make adjustments in the second half. Now, we can talk about the offense finally clicking into high gear in that fourth quarter, but throughout that entire second half, the Kansas City Chiefs were the team that was out-coached. Sure, there were big plays left out there on the field, but overall, seeing your defensive coordinator in Shaun Desai make adjustments where you didn't see guys like Josh Sweat being suckered in, like you were pointing out during the game, Seth, as many times as you did in the first half. I don't know if that was something that they brought to his attention, because it's not like during halftime there's big rah-rah speeches like you see in the movies. There are little things that are made for adjustments, and that seemed to happen with Josh Sweat. When you go into that type of second half, though, and you have the outcome that you did, especially with the way you were finally able to stop the run, Eagles giving up about double the amount of yards on the ground that they had on average throughout every game this season. In the first half alone. Then they make that adjustment in the second half to only allow, I think it was 46 yards allowed in that second half. That is a miraculous change of events there by the Philadelphia Eagles and the run defense.
Listen, man, I'm looking at the numbers here, and I'm going, okay, this is a team that won. Jalen Hurts completed 14 passes at 22 attempts for 150 yards tonight and got intercepted once, and he got sacked 5 times in the first half. DeAndre Swift, all right, he had a nice night. The 35-yard scamper was a big play, 12 carries for 76 yards. Jalen didn't run the ball for a touchdown. He had 12 carries in this game for 29, and they weren't really – they would make 3 of them were maybe design runs on that. They got nothing from Boston Scott or Kenneth Gainwell, and nothing from A.J. Brown, but Devontae Smith comes up big tonight. Usually it's A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith. Tonight, Devontae Smith, 6 catches for 99 yards, and, of course, the big one being the 41-yard gain, and he had 8 targets. And A.J., four targets today. Didn't look like he was into the flow at all in this game.
The interception, I don't know if it was a change of route at the last minute. I don't know if he just decided that he had a touchdown waiting for him. But, of course, you have a guy like Jalen Hurts. He's got the pressure in his face. He's not going to be able to make that read right out of the gate. And I guess A.J. Brown thought that their chemistry over the years was going to carry it into the end zone. Ended up being the interception there, unfortunately, by Jalen Hurts. But to see Devontae Smith just be that ready when you haven't seen him utilized as much in recent weeks, especially coming out of the bye, that was fantastic. And seeing the late-hand situation, Seth, you were talking about this as well, seeing the late-hand situation with that 41-yard reception was great. That set up the tush-push touchdown. Because if he shows those hands early, with that ball being a little underthrown, that pass maybe gets broken up. So that's a young guy right there making a great veteran play on that football. And that's something that, of course, the Eagles have missed over the years at the wide receiver position. Devontae Smith brings that every night.
No, he is wise beyond his years, because you just don't understand how massive a play that was. Because the average player, when they're running down the field and that ball's in the air, they're going to put their hands up to catch that ball, because that's the natural reaction. But if he puts his hand up, now the defender can put his hand up and potentially knock it away. So he just kind of dead hands it and was just running and went into a slide and just let the ball fall in the basket. And by the time the defender knew where the ball was, it was already in his hands. It was a huge play. Let me say this. Every player has an opposite somewhere that has their numbers, okay? I don't think A.J. Brown had that great of a night tonight, because L'Jarius Sneed was on him all night tonight. I mean, he was physical with him at the line of scrimmage. He was on him everywhere. He took the challenge of stopping one of the best wide receivers in the National Football League tonight. And L'Jarius Sneed might be A.J. Brown's only kryptonite. I mean, I've seen no one. I mean, I got to go back. I just want to go back for a second and look at his numbers, okay? 1 catch for 8 yards?
Yeah, 1 catch for 8 yards.
Come on. I mean, even when he was upset at the beginning of the season, it was better than that.
4 targets.
Come on. I mean, sometimes, you know, you face a guy that just has your number. You know, as a pro ball player at playing 13 years, yeah, there was a guy who had my number. He could block me, and then there was another guy, you know, who was held to cover. You know, there was a guy coming out of the backfield that was held to cover. We all got that one adversary, you know, and I think the L'Jarius Sneed is that guy for A.J. Brown. I don't think A.J. Brown wants to see him anytime soon. And that's not saying anything negative about A.J. Brown. I'm just saying that there are great players in the National Football League. So there's always somebody that has your number. And tonight, L'Jarius Sneed had A.J. Brown's number.
So let's look at what Kansas City did. They get intercepted in the end zone. Kelsey fumbled at the 10. And then Valdez-Scantling clanked one off his hands. 3 situations where they should have had 7, and they didn't get 7. So let's look back at this game and how it started, because the Eagles were down 7-0 in this game, and the Chiefs. Mahomes made a nice improvisational play where he flipped to Justin Watson, was wide open in the end zone. Looks like Byard got lost on that play on the other side. The Eagles answer with a 9-play, 75-yard drive, and you're thinking this game's going to be rock'em sock'em. We're going to go up and down. They had 7 runs on that drive. Swift with a great 18-yard run to set up a 4-yard touchdown to tie the game at 7-7. Now, on that play that he scored, I think the Eagles got the benefit of the doubt. It looked like Zacchaeus was holding on that play.
Somebody's holding on every play. Sometimes they catch you, sometimes they don't, man.
Okay. They missed the one on the collar there, but you're right, yeah.
All right. And then, of course, we get to the second quarter. Tony had Kadarius Toney plays well against the Philadelphia Eagles. He stinks against everybody else. He has a great punt return that gives the Chiefs the ball at midfield. Sweat, who really killed him in the first half. Very undisciplined play, containing and also jumping off sides. He jumped offside on a 3rd and 7, which gave them a smaller 3rd and 2 to convert, and Pacheco converts it, and then Mahomes scrambles, and he gets to the 11, and then there's a 3-yard touchdown pass on 3rd down to make it 14-7. Isaiah Pacheco with a big night, by the way. He had 19 carries for 89 yards. I like him. He's a tough runner. And the Eagles suddenly were getting dominated on offense. 3-and-out punt. Chiefs got it at the Eagles' 46. They got it to the 25, and they make a 43-yard field goal to go into halftime at 17-7. And we're taking inventory of this game and going, you know what? It's probably not their night.
It didn't feel like it.
No, it just didn't feel like their night.
The thing that really bothered me was that during the week there was a lot of conversation about Jalen Hurts not having that brace on his knee anymore. And he talked about how the bye week hit at the right time for him and for some other teammates to get healthy at that time. It looked like the brace was still on the knee tonight. And then he looked like he had zero escapability. There were certain plays throughout the 5 sacks in particular that he didn't have time to escape in the pocket, and that's legit. There were maybe 2 or 3 other plays where maybe Jalen Hurts from a year ago or at different points in this season even is able to escape that pocket and be able to carry that football at least out of harm's way and gain a couple of yards. The only time you really saw that kind of explosiveness tonight from Jalen Hurts was on the touchdown run.
Listen, I will tell you this. One of the hardest things in the world is when you get a lower body injury during the season is to recover 100%. Especially, you know, when you're being sacked, when you're being asked to do all the things that Jalen Hurts is being asked to do, and defenders are trying to take you out every single time that you run the ball, okay? The 2 weeks rest was probably great, but this is something that's going to bother him for the rest of the season. There's just no getting around that. You know, I think he knows that. I think that's why he doesn't address it. I think Nick Sirianni understands and knows that. I think that's why they kind of limit how much they actually try to run him. A lot of the running that you see him do now, to me, is just posturing to make sure that the defense is prepared for the fact that he still may run the ball. I don't think they're running him as a weapon as much as, you know, they really would like to, other than, you know, they had the numbers. They really had the numbers on the touchdown run, the 10-yard run, and it was a straight-ahead run. He didn't have to cut or change directions or anything. So I think when he's running in a linear straight line, that he's fine. I think it's the start and stop and the change of direction that really bothers his knee.
Well, let me ask you this real quick, just because you're the former athlete. At what stage do you think Jalen Hurts is at? Do you think he's at the stage where he is healthy enough to do it, but mentally he's not trusting the injury? Where do you think he's at? Is it more of a mental thing right now, or is it still physical?
No, I think it's physical.
Okay.
He's hurting, okay, and he's doing everything he can to carry this football team where they believe that they can go. So he's a warrior. He's going to get out there and fight. But physically, he's not able to do the things that they would like for him to do in this offense and what he would like to do in this offense because he's hurt. Now, there's a big difference between being hurt and injured. If you're injured, that means you can't play. That means you can't operate at the level that you need to operate to be successful for the team. He's hurting, and he's a warrior. So as a warrior, when you're hurting, you keep fighting. You don't fight until you're injured, until you're mortally wounded. You keep going.
Yeah, I agree. It's totally obvious that he's hurting, and I think that was one of the reasons why they came with fire early on. And in the second half, I think they bailed out of that a little bit. So we'll have to Steve Spagnola will get asked about that. But let's take a breath right now. A little message for the people out there. If you're looking to hire right now in the IT and engineering, manufacturing, or technology fields, all you got to do is contact our buddy Gary Kane and his team at Kane Partners Staffing Solutions. And here's how you can connect.
Staffing is not easy, but that's what we do every day, all day. The key to our success is storytelling, asking the right questions to find the right people. I'm Gary Kane, president of Kane Partners. We want to be your staffing partner.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kane and Kane Staffing Solutions. Derek Gunn, the great D Gunn, will join us in a little bit, and we'll also hear from Kayla Santiago in the Diamond Debate, and everybody else involved with this show today. It's the Eagles. I'm just stunned, man. 21-17 was your final. It is the Pond Lehocky postgame show. We are live at Ocean Casino, and we're coming back right after this.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
At Pond Lehocky, we've recovered billions of dollars for our clients, and we're confident we can do the same for you. With over 250 years of combined courtroom experience, we've helped over 100,000 injured clients obtain some of the largest settlements in Pennsylvania. One conversation is all it takes to help you and your family get back on track. If you've been injured in an accident, give Pond Lehocky a call.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Staffing is not easy, but that's what we do every day, all day. The key to our success is storytelling, asking the right questions to find the right people. I'm Gary Kane, president of Kane Partners. We want to be your staffing partner.
Since 1977, it's always been about you, the community, at Rafferty Subaru. And through the Subaru Love Promise, we prove we care by supporting charities like So Good Now.
So Good Now helps kids in under-resourced areas by connecting them with student athletes to serve as mentors. We remove barriers so athletes can help youth in the corners of our communities where light and love are needed most.
When you choose Rafferty Subaru, you help organizations like So Good Now.
It's all about you at Rafferty.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Google TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
And the big story on Action News?
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
EAGLES. Eagles.
You are watching the Pond Lehocky Eagles postgame show live from Ocean Casino, and you're watching us on 6abc.com and the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Eagles win it 21-17 tonight. Late touchdown, a push touchdown, but the big play being a bomb to Devontae Smith that got the ball to the 1-yard line, and the Eagles looked like they were dead in the water for most of this game, and all of a sudden, bang, they shut out the Kansas City Chiefs in the second half, and they win another one. And this is a team that knows how to win. And for more insight on that, let's bring in our man on our remote today, the great Derek Gunn joining us live. D. Gunn, you saw the game like us. I'm thinking that you didn't think, like we didn't think, that they were going to be able to win this game. Your thoughts, sir?
Here's how you put this game in a nutshell. Right after the game was over, I'm texting one of my contacts in the locker room, and I said, "How the heck did you win this game?" And the response was, "I have no idea." But the bottom line is they got the W. This has been their theme for much of the season. They have yet to put together a dominant game like we've been accustomed to seeing in 2022, but they make the necessary plays when they have to. They get the necessary first down, the necessary tush push, the necessary big play, necessary defensive stop. This has been this team's theme all year long. And I think Seth will agree with me when I say, I've watched this game a long time. I have never seen a team consistently come up with consistent big plays 10 games into a season and sit here at 9-1. You see it happen occasionally, but you don't see it happen as consistently with this team. But the bottom line is, I don't care how you get the W, as long as you get the W. But when you tell me A.J. Brown gets one catch, Kansas City runs for 168 yards, the Eagles don't convert a third down conversion until the third quarter, and they pitch a shutout defensively in the second half, I'm taking that bet against the Eagles every time. And there's no way that those things are going to happen in favor of the Eagles, especially against a team like Kansas City. Lo and behold, it was that kind of game.
Gunner, I'll tell you right now, man, it still doesn't feel like a win, but my feelings be damned. All right, they won. They're 9-1. They're the best team in the NFL as of right now. But yes. I want to say this with you because it's incredible. First off, our love, our good vibes, and our prayers are with your family, and I know you know that, but I wanted to tell you again.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely,
appreciate
brother.
You guys.
Absolutely. When it comes to Jalen Hurts, you ask every quarterback in the NFL to let you have a chance to win no matter what. When it's late in the game and your team's down, you just want that chance to win. He helped the Eagles pull this win out. I know the Kansas City Chiefs made their load of mistakes, but when it came to Jalen Hurts finding Devontae Smith down the field to set up that tush-push touchdown, he hit the guy right where he needed to.
All you needed was a couple of big plays, and Jalen Hurts got that for you. The offensive line, max protection, allowed their one-on-one situation to Devontae Smith to be a thing of beauty. That was the defining moment in this game tonight. There's no question about that. The thing about this Eagles team is, first of all, I've never seen this offense look this discombobulated as they were in the first half. I've never seen that offensive line this season manhandled the way it was in the first half. Steve Spagnola, you knew he was going to come after you, and he did. And there was a lot of confusion in that Eagles offense. A couple of times we saw Jalen holding the ball too long, DeAndre Swift wondering if he's getting the ball or not. Everything you could possibly write up in terms of what not to do in a game of this magnitude, the Eagles did it in the first 30 minutes of this ball game. But they don't quit. This team does not quit. To me, they're like Freddy Krueger, Jason from Friday the 13th. Just when you think you bury this team, they rise up out of the ashes and do you in. And they've done that 9 times this season.
D-Gun, love you, man.
Thank you, brother.
So I loved your opening dialogue, and what you said, man, sounds like you believe that this team is a team of destiny, that no matter what the circumstances are, they can overcome them and potentially win a Super Bowl the way that they're playing. Because it's 10 weeks into the season, there's only 7 more games left, okay? How much you had 2 weeks off to make the adjustments and the improvements, and yet they played in week 10 the same way that they played weeks 1 through 9. So can they get to the promised land, continue to play this way?
Okay, before I answer your question, I want to ask you a series of questions, okay? Did you think the Eagles could win a game being held to 238 yards of offense?
Are you talking about tonight or just overall?
Yeah, just tonight. Just tonight.
Watching the game tonight? Hell no. Not just no, hell no.
Did you think A.J. Brown 1 catch for 8 yards would be good enough for this team to still find a way to win the game?
Not just no, hell no.
Did you think the way they played over the first 30 minutes, there was any way on God's green earth they were coming back to win this game?
Hell to the no. How about that one?
I can go on and on and on with a series of questions. I don't like to use the term destiny 10 games into a season, but the theme is following the same pattern. So yes, as we sit here right now, if they can stay healthy, they got Roby back. Byard's 4 weeks into this system. When they get Goddard back, this team can roll. I don't think there's a team that can stop them in the NFC. I do think there's some teams that will be interesting matchups for them. San Francisco, Detroit, Dallas. But I don't think if they do what they have to do consistently, which is be inconsistent at times, make the big plays on both sides of the ball when you have to, this team can get back to the promised land. Yes, I think they can get back to that Super Bowl again.
Derek, let me ask you this, because they were getting devoured in the first half. I mean, we can go over the grisly details, but they looked like they were going to get buried in this game. What turned it around in your mind? What adjustments did they make to stop the constant heat that the Chiefs were getting on Hurts in the offense in the first half, and the fact that the Chiefs weren't really getting the ball down the field consistently to score more points?
Well, in a lot of situations, they went to max protect to give Jalen a little bit more time. They would keep the back end to give him a little bit more time. Then all of a sudden, they started to hit him with the middle screen to Swift. And you watch this game long enough to know when you got a fierce pass rush like that, you want to neutralize it, delay draws, middle screen, outside screens. That's how you get that rush to back off of you. I mean, let's be honest. Kansas City's receivers dropping hand grenades, balls like hand grenades, that was a big factor also. I mean, who was it over the middle that dropped a short third down situation?
Justin
Watson. And then you see Scanlon drop a short touchdown pass. This has been Kansas City's problem all season. The fact that they only lost 2 games up to this point was phenomenal. This has plagued them all season long. And when you look at their overall numbers across the board, you can see why that their offense is not as explosive as we're accustomed to seeing it. But the Eagles countered, and I'm going to give Brian Johnson, I thought, called a horrendous game in the first half. I thought he made the necessary adjustments in the second half. Neutralize that pass rush, hit him with quick hitters. That's what you do to get him back off. All Jalen Hurts needed was a little bit more time to make things happen. And because of the adjustments they made in that second half, that's why they were able to get 14 second half points compared to just 7 points in that first half.
I just want the record to show that we've all talked about how great it is that the Eagles are 9-1. We've talked about how the Eagles are the number 1 team in the NFL. That has all been acknowledged, and you can enjoy the win for as much as you can. However, looking at that locker room, and you've already been in contact with people in that locker room, and you asked the question, as you said at the beginning of the interview, how'd you win this game? I have no idea. How do the Eagles take this? Do they take this as, all right, we are better than the Chiefs this year. We have proven it because we have beaten the Chiefs. Or do they take it as more of, Okay, all right, we're kind of lucky to have won that one. They dropped a lot of balls that could have made a huge difference in the game. Or do you think they take this more as we are now better than the two-time Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs?
No. To answer the latter part of your question, they're not better than the two-time Kansas City Chiefs until they beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, if Kansas City gets back to the Super Bowl. They were better than Kansas City on this night. And I love how Jason Kelce puts it in his proper perspective. He doesn't believe in revenge games. And I don't like to talk about revenge games because a revenge game in the regular season means nothing if it doesn't enable you to get to where you want to go in the long run. The bottom line is they walk up the field going, phew, that was interesting. But the bottom line is we're 9 up and 1 down. We're 1 game up, better than Detroit in the NFC. We're 2 games better than San Francisco and Dallas in the NFC. Bottom line, we are still in control of home field advantage. And any good team will tell you, we'd much rather have you come to our backyard for a dogfight in the second season than us having to go to your backyard. So that's the most important thing, is keeping the dogs in the NFC at bay. And that's what the Eagles did in this game tonight. I always say, Mark, I don't care if it's an ugly win. I don't care if it's a putrid win. If it's a win, it's a win, plain and simple.
D, there's no doubt about it, and we talked about it in the pregame about Spags and what he would do to this offense. He gave them fits. They didn't know who to block. They didn't know how to block. They didn't know where they were coming from. And then all of a sudden, they found their footing in the second half. And we'll continue to talk about, the offensive side of the ball. But we got to talk about Shaun Desai and the adjustments that he made in the second half and the things that he was able to take away. After giving up 120-plus yards on the ground, they held him to like 40-something in the second half. They came out with a resolve to stop Pacheco. And then on the backside, how guys were up challenging and fighting. And then he started bringing blitzes at Patrick Mahomes, at certain points in the game. A couple of times, where last year in the Super Bowl, Jonathan Gannon just would not do it. I think that Shaun Desai, in my opinion, when he gets these guys, a group of guys that he can have for a while consistently on the field, he's going to have a heck of a defense, man.
The biggest factor, Seth, has been throughout the season on defense, especially the back end of this defense, is not having your guys consistently to formulate a cohesiveness on that back end. You look at how they've mixed and matched all season long for the most part. Justin Evans down. Eli Ricks get nicked up. Sidney Brown get nicked up. Avonte Maddox gone. Roby gets nicked up for an extended period of time. They bring Byard in 3-4 weeks ago. He's got to get adjusted to the system. He's a proven vet, but when you're playing in a new system with new personnel, it takes time for you to get used to who you're playing next to. It's almost like synchronized swimming. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes time to get used to. And that's where this back end of this defense was. Now, are they a complete unit yet? No. They got lucky in a lot of ways. On the one deep ball where Bradbury got burned, he got lucky. They got lucky on Scantling dropping a pass. But you go back to the drawing board, you look at the film, and you make those corrections. But in the bigger scheme of things, hey, Byard, in the right place at the right time, stops the red zone drive. I think the biggest defensive play of the game was Roby punching that ball out from Kelce. Because Kelce's not a fumbler. But Roby, with the heads-up play, saw an opportunity, took advantage of it, and it turned out to be in the Eagles' favor. You look at the overall numbers in the red zone, Eagles 3 for 3 in the red zone, Chiefs 2 for 4 in the red zone. Why were they 2 for 4? They won the turnover battle. Interception, forced fumble. That's huge in terms of winning a game like this on unfavorable conditions where big plays and big miscues are going to decide the outcome of a game like this.
D, there's still a little bit of work to be done. You got nothing but veterans back there for the majority of the game when you got Bradley Roby back in there and you got Byard in there. But on that touchdown play to Kelce, there was a miscommunication between he and Slay,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
where when the motion guy went across, they didn't talk about playing off of each other,
No.
you know, and it's almost like it looks like one of those plays from the Super Bowl last year where if you guys just talk about it, one guy's outside, one guy's inside. Whichever guy comes to you, you got. Whatever guy comes to the other guy, you got. But that was just too easy of a touchdown. Travis Kelce just like delayed and ran straight to the flat touchdown.
You know what, Seth? I don't have to tell you this, but anytime an offense gets a red zone inside the 5-yard line, there's communications. Okay, look for this, look for this, look for this. And one of the first things you talk about is look for the rub play. It's one of the first things. And the fact that it happened to two veterans is concerning.
Exactly, yes.
Because if it's week 2, you say, okay, we're still getting acclimated here. We didn't play much together in the preseason. You know, practice is one thing, game speed's another thing. Here it's week 10, and you're going to have a Buffalo offense that loves to run the rub. San Francisco loves to run the rub. Dallas loves to run the rub. Seattle loves to run the rub. You better figure this thing out now, because as we always talk about, what you slip by one game could come back and kill you the next game.
D-Gun, listen, we appreciate it. Best wishes to you and your family. We hope to see you back here very soon. We know you're taking care of business, and we really appreciate you joining us. Another Eagle victory. Hard to believe, but you know, all of a sudden this gauntlet, they win this game. It doesn't look so daunting all of a sudden. Where they can, you know, we thought they were going to lose 3 of these next 6, but it doesn't look like they can lose at all. So we're all good, right?
I couldn't agree with you more. It's like I'm still scratching my head, going off of what somebody told me in the locker room. I don't know how we won this game, but I just want to say before I roll, I miss you guys. Say happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Have a great holiday weekend. Be safe. And I thank all of you for your thoughts and prayers for my wife. She's getting there. It's going to take some time as she's getting there. It's been tough in our family, but we've had such a large contingent of family and friends step in the gap and help us out in a lot of ways with meals and filling in gaps for me when I do certain things or when I can't do certain things. And you know, I appreciate everybody's thoughts and prayers out there. And, you know, you guys enjoy your holiday as well, man. Appreciate you guys.
D-Gun. Thanks, buddy.
Too, Gunner.
All right, that's Derek Gunn, remote today. The show has Kayla Santiago coming up next with the Diamond Debate. Also, John McMullen is live from Kansas City. We'll hear from McMullen and his thoughts on this unlikely but satisfying 21-17 win by the Philadelphia Eagles tonight against the Kansas City Chiefs. It's the Pond Lehocky Eagles postgame show. Back after this.
Welcome to Pond Lehocky, the largest workers' compensation law firm in Pennsylvania. With over 250 years of combined courtroom experience, we've helped over 100,000 injured and disabled workers obtain benefits, as well as some of the biggest settlements in the state. Even better, Pond Lehocky doesn't charge a dime until you win. If you've been injured at work, give Pond Lehocky a call.
And welcome
to the Diamond Debate
with Liam and Hillary
in the heart of Montgomeryville, Pennsylvania.
What you got for us today on your right hand, Hill?
Today we've got a right hand ring, Liam.
What is that?
It's a ring that you would wear on your right hand.
That's it?
That's all there is to it.
Okay.
It's meant to balance your left hand situation, or if you're not engaged or married, it says, I'm not engaged or married, but I still have this over here that's sparkly.
There's a lot of other ways you can say that.
No, not if you're trying to wear jewelry. Which
Okay.
one's your favorite?
I love this Art Deco moment. I mean, with these beautiful baguettes and round diamonds. I mean, who wouldn't say no to one of these?
Baguettes are hot right now. People also love an eternity band. It's beautiful.
Great for the other hand.
That's right. So come on down here. For love grows here at Mark's Jewelers.
Every day of the week except Sundays and Mondays.
That's because we are closed.
My name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech, we offer 3 major services. The first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
I get scared sometimes.
Of a lot of things.
Joining in.
Decisions.
The dark.
The dark.
But I once heard someone say,
But as I always say,
it's okay to be afraid.
as long as you face the fear.
And keep moving forward.
Wherever you are in life, count on the name trusted in insurance for over 80 years. Independence Blue Cross.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
Go for the beers, go for the cheers, go for the hit and the hits, go for the scene, go for the screens, go for the gallery, go for the win, go to Ocean.
EAGLES. Eagles.
All right, 21-17 was your final. The Eagles win it today. You know, we had Derek Gunn on last in a segment that normally that segment we would be present the player of the game, the player you can bank on. So tonight we're making Derek Gunn the player you can bank on, presented by great people at First Trust Bank, the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. And I have to remind you that holiday time is here, right? So we got to be thinking along with Kayla Santiago about the great values you're going to get at Mark's Jewelers. Kayla Santiago joins us with Kayla's Diamond Debate. Hello, Kayla.
Hello. There's so many fantastic things at Mark's Jewelers. We've seen the jewelry already up here on the desk plenty of times. You've got the white pearls that are beautiful, especially for the holidays, something that you'll definitely want to check out. So make sure you do go so at Mark's Jewelers. Let's get to our Diamond Debate now. We look at this game and we say, okay, a win is a win. And that has been kind of the theme so far this year. But the one constant is the questionable play calling of Brian Johnson. For you guys, when is it time to say, okay, next year they need to change? Is it too soon? Do you think that he's going to improve throughout the season? Or is Brian Johnson really just not stepping up to the plate? Because it seems like game after game, guys, that's something he's not doing.
I don't know. They're 9-1, and tonight they play without a tight end, and they're playing with a quarterback with a hurt knee. And they, in the first half, obviously they didn't have anything clicking, but in the second half they found something that clicked. So, I think he calls some questionable plays, like those bubble screens to the outside receivers never seem to work. But then he figured it out to get the ball in the hands of DeAndre Swift, and like I say, I don't know what to say about this. I would love to have a perfect offensive coordinator, and every game you go, and he called a great game, right? Well, that doesn't seem to be the case, but they're 9-1, and they do enough to get it done because the quarterback and the receiver will make a great play when they need it.
You want to know what the greatest asset that, any coach, any coordinator has about himself? Is his ability to adjust, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Because there's no doubt that the Eagles sat back. They had 2 weeks to prepare for this game, and they had a game plan, okay? And the game plan is a game plan and planning a plan for a game is like boxing. Mike Tyson says everybody's got a plan till you get hit in the nose and your eyes start tearing up, okay? So then what's your adjustment? So the Eagles had a plan on offense, they had a plan on defense, and it was not working. They went at halftime, they were down by 10 points, 7-17. They went in and adjusted their plan and came out in the second half and executed on both sides of the ball. And you know what? One of the things that, listen, we need to give some credit to Michael Clay, because last year this time we were killing him, absolutely killing him, okay? And the special teams has been a non-issue this year. We've been talking about the offense and the defense more so than any other phase of the team. But Britton Covey is a able-bodied punt returner, and he is getting it done. Jake Elliott is just money still. The punter, he's kind of up and down from time to time, but he had a couple of boomers tonight. So, when we're talking about, Kayla, you're talking about Brian Johnson and the offense, sometimes your best laid plans kind of go to waste because the guys on the other side have a better plan to stop what you're doing. And let's just be honest, Andy Reid and his staff, they are more seasoned, more mature, have been doing this a lot longer than the guys on our side. But the guys on our side came out on top tonight because they were able to make the adjustment to the adjustment in the second half, something that they weren't able to do in the Super Bowl last year.
Well, because they had Jonathan Gannon and not Shaun Desai. I think Shaun Desai is a big reason why the Philadelphia Eagles were able to win this game. That brings me to my next point, though, and Seth, I'm going to start with you on this. There we go. We love Shaun Desai here.
Right into his hand.
We were talking about at halftime the adjustments need to be made, and consistently throughout the season, besides maybe one or two games,
Right.
Desai is the guy that's been able to do this so far. So what are the adjustments that you're really seeing in the game that he's able to do, whether it's with the secondary, whether it's with that front, whether it's with the Chiefs just dropping the passes because they're not able to connect? Shaun Desai just gets this young defense, and it's been working so far throughout the season, a big reason why they're 9-1.
Well, I believe that Shaun Desai is more of a guy who likes the pressure than Jonathan Gannon was. And I also believe that he's a guy that likes the pressure a hell of a lot than Nick Sirianni likes for him to pressure, But you have a decision to make as a defensive coordinator. And I always say it, because my mindset is completely different. I'm like, in most people's realm, I'm the guy from the Stone Age, But when you look at it, this is the way, in my opinion, football should be played. It's a violent game. It's a game of aggression. It's a game of my manhood and my will versus yours, okay? So if I'm trying something and it's not working, at some point in time, I have to do the opposite. I can't keep playing bend but don't break, soft-style defense all the time when it doesn't work. If my pass rush can't get there because I'm playing my DBs too far off the ball, then guess what? They got to knuckle up and get up. If I'm rushing 4 and I can't get home, then that means that I'm going to have to run some pressures. I'm going to have to run some blitzes. And you're seeing Shaun Desai do all of these things that I'm talking about, be able to adjust, because he may start the game off with the cornerbacks off, but he damn sure the last couple of weeks, Mark, he hadn't finished the game that way. He may start off not blitzing, but he blitzed the hell out of Patrick Mahomes tonight. So a lot of things were forced. That's why I talk about turnovers. Turnovers aren't something that just incidentally happens. The game is a game of will, and I have to force my will upon you in order to force you into mistakes and to force turnovers to happen. Guys are just not going, oh, here's a fumble, happy birthday. Oh, here's an interception, have a Merry Christmas. No, it doesn't work that way. You got to make that guy put that ball on the ground. Bradley Roby made him put that ball on the ground, okay? That ball's in the air. Your mindset has to be, that ball belongs to me. Kevin Byard, go get that ball. That's the difference. That's the difference. These guys are making things happen instead of sitting around and waiting for things to happen, and that's the kind of defense we played last year.
The blitz rate acquisitions, by the way, mid-season acquisitions both contributed tonight. Byard and Roby.
Sure.
So big. Sure. That's why you get guys like that make a play.
It's also helpful to have adjustments being made in the front office as well, and that's something that Howie Roseman has obviously done over the course of the last 2 seasons. But the thing that is the biggest difference that I see with Shaun Desai is those second half adjustments. I mean, we look at the blitz rate is actually around the same as it was with Jonathan Gannon. Now it seems like it's a lot more successful.
It'll be
this
up tonight.
Year.
After tonight.
After tonight, I think it's going to take a little bit of a spike. But going into tonight, it was around the same. I think Jonathan Gannon was about 24%, and I think Shaun Desai is at about 25%. So slight tick up, and then tonight maybe even more.
I'll bet you a game check. Jonathan Gannon was not 24% last year.
Game
check? Somebody.
Oh, somebody's mocking it up.
Somebody's playing with the numbers.
Okay.
Who's
there's
game check?
no way in hell.
We talking about your game check or ours?
Our game check. This is a game
Our.
But it is something that you're noticing this year, and just in terms of getting home with the front four that the Eagles have been able to. And I think a big difference there is just Jalen Carter in general. By the way, we didn't even mention him trying to intercept a spiked ball tonight. That was incredible. But you're seeing that from him, and then seeing a guy like Kevin Byard. 2 asks I had after the bye week. be the team that knocks. Be the team that every other team in this gauntlet is fearing. And after tonight, it might not have been the cleanest win in the world, but it was still a win. You're still in position to be the best team in the NFL. The other was Kevin Byard adjusting to the secondary. And tonight, you saw him do everything he was supposed to do against Travis Kelce. You saw him do everything he was supposed to do in the red zone. And coming up with that interception was clutch. And yes, Bradley Roby with the punch out was phenomenal as well.
Listen, I'm going to tell you this. We talked about it in the pregame, and I said, this isn't a must-win game for the Eagles, but from a psychological standpoint, it was a must-win game for them. And this gauntlet that we've talked about, Buffalo hasn't looked good. They looked good the other night, but they haven't looked good, up to this point. So the Eagles realizing that they just slayed Goliath, puts them psychologically in a different place to now go and face the Buffalo Bills, the 49ers, go to Dallas, go to Seattle. It puts them in a completely different place, in my opinion. And that's why I felt like this game was a must game from a psychological standpoint, more so than it was a must-win game just from a record standpoint.
And I think a big reason why is Jalen Hurts, and I think all of we can agree with that. 26-1 in his last 27 starts, which is a crazy statistic. This guy goes out there, he finds ways to win. And when you're watching this game, when you were watching Tom Brady, you said, okay, you don't want to give him any time on the clock. He's going to come back and probably score. You could say the same thing about Pat Mahomes. The way that Jalen Hurts, though, was able to put this game to bed and say, listen, A.J. Brown might not be happy with what he's getting here today, but Devontae Smith is the guy. Do you think that was a Jalen Hurts stand of saying, I'm going to go to what works, and that's been Devontae? Do you think that's a coaching staff, or does Jalen kind of have that groove now and that say to be like, we're going to go to what works, this is what's flowing right now, and this is how we're going to win the ball game?
Listen, with Dallas got it out, you just knew that the targets were going to go up for Devontae anyway. And I'm looking at the commentary here in the live chat while we're actually doing the show, and it's interesting to me how some people are like, oh, Seth, you don't know what you're talking about. Snead, A.J. Brown ate Snead up. Come on, man. The numbers speak for itself. 4 targets, 1 catch. Dude was doing something right. And, yeah, you can talk about the fact that, yeah, he had him beat on that route, but he ran the wrong route. That's what turned into the interception by Hurts. If he runs the right route, maybe he have 2 receptions instead of just 1. But the truth of the matter is, listen, this team has figured out, how to get it done when they need to get it done. And I've always said, Jalen Hurts, I don't know what his numbers were on the night. He threw the ball
14 for 22 for 150.
So 22 times. Normally he's right around the 35 to 37, attempts per game mark. Obviously that was different because, the rushing attempts were way up. We ran the ball more than we actually threw the ball for a change tonight. But the issue is that when he throws the ball 30-plus times, normally A.J. Brown gets 15. He gets at least 50% of those targets. And I've been saying all year long, there's nothing wrong with what A.J. is doing. It's phenomenal, the pace that he's been on. But you got to start targeting some of these other guys, and Devontae is too good to only get 2 or 3 targets in a game. You got to figure out a way to get him involved and get him the ball and make defenses start worrying about where he is and what he's doing, and then that's just going to open up more, in my opinion, for A.J. Brown. But without Dallas, let me see, how many DeAndre Swift had, 3 targets, 3 catches. I think all of those were in the first half, So he's another guy that needs to get the ball more out of the backfield.
Well, listen, and Hurts made 2 great plays when he had to make them. Let's get to Kansas City because we heard from Derek Gunn earlier. Now let's hear from John McMullen, who covered the game for JAKIB Media. John, listen, we sit here in bewilderment a little bit. The Eagles win again. We're used to seeing them win no matter what happens. But we're kind of both stunned right here on the panel that they actually won this game. What did it look like from your vantage point?
Why you're bewildered. It's what they do, Mike Missinelli. Winning is a habit, and the Eagles have a habit, and they tend to win these games. And I think he punted the football 4 from the Eagle 9-yard line. Obviously, they weren't able to get a good punt. It turned out to be a touchback. 19. I think right there, the game turned, and I think the Eagles took the bull by the horns, and Jalen does what he typically does, a great play when it matters. Supposed to that play to Devontae Smith, all of a sudden bang, touchdown, Eagles are in. You know, they're built to play from the lead because of that pass rush.
John, hold on a second. We're having some transmission problems. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll straighten those out, and we'll hear you clearly right after this. So hang in there. It is the Pine Lehocky Eagles postgame show. Right back with John McMullen after this.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction. Go with trust.
Go Birds!
And go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Up. And go Birds.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, Birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
Hi, I'm Jim Muehlbronner, Managing Partner at Del Val Insurance Group. Give us a call. We're a local, knowledgeable agency, not an 800 number. Go Birds!
Weather forecasting is a team game.
We rely on each other every day, updating the models and passing along new critical information.
We have a team of 5 experienced meteorologists and a specialized weather producer, Paul. Say hi, Paul.
Sometimes what I see in the model, Cecily could see something different.
That's when we come
Camera,
together
we're coming on back on.
to make our most accurate prediction.
Coming back on me,
And all
camera?
Of this backed by more than
That camera
100
or that?
AccuWeather scientists. It's a team game.
And we have the best team in town.
EAGLES. Eagles.
All righty, we are back. The Pine Lehocky Eagles postgame show live from Ocean Casino. So let's get back to GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium and our own John McMullen, who covered the game for JAKIB Media. John, we were saying, and your transmission got cut off a little bit, but we were startled to see them win the game. It's a great win. We don't know how they did it, but they did it, 21-17. So what was your viewpoint?
Yeah, my viewpoint is GEHA, or whatever it's called, GEHA Field at Arrowhead. They have to do a better job with their Wi-Fi because there's some spotty issues. But hopefully we get through it. I think 4th and 4 at the Eagles 39 with 9 minutes left is where the game, that's where Reed decided to punt the football. Tommy Townsend, who's a great punter, all-pro punter last year, wasn't able to get it done, pinned the Eagles back. It turned into a touchback. So Kansas City got 19 yards, just a terrible decision. So for those people who don't think Andy Reid still loves Philadelphia, he loves Philadelphia. He gave him a gift. And all of a sudden, the Eagles get the football at the 20-yard line. I think it 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 play drive, less than 3 minutes. Jalen Hurts makes the big play, makes the call at the line of scrimmage to go to the go route to Devontae Smith, yards down to the Eagles 1-yard line. Touch there, game over, Eagles. Yeah, it's amazing. This team finds ways to win. It was ugly in the step down 10 points. Nobody plays better from the often, but Jalen Hurts has been back and playing behind. Defense right now, raise a first half, couldn't stop run. I thought they got out physical, which is right for the Eagles. I think the Chiefs were a little bit. They made the adjustments. Great second half, didn't give up any points. And anytime you're playing Patrick Mahomes, even though the Chiefs have struggled offensively for about a month now, that's pretty important.
John, I know a lot of times after almost every win this season, and granted there's been 9 of them to this point, so that's pretty good. Every time we've been talking about how this team just needs to find ways to win and keep winning games, they continue to do that. But against a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, does this win tonight mean that they are the better team than the Chiefs, or does this win simply mean they made fewer mistakes than the Kansas City Chiefs?
I the better team. I don't think this game. I thought they were the better team in the Super Bowl, and they didn't win the game. I think they're still the better team. They could have lost the game if Valdez-Scantling makes a catch late. Pat Holmes had him. He got both hands on the football. Should have been a touchdown for the Chiefs, or would have been probably the 2-yard line or something of that nature. So had a chance to win the game. All of a sudden, it's the football, and the Eagles are able to finish. So it wasn't perfect, but they were able to persevere on the road in difficult conditions, not only weather-wise, but also this is one of the toughest places to play. Nick Sirianni said the toughest. Besides Philadelphia, he's got to get his pandering in there, but this is the loudest outdoor environment in the NFL. So it's a really difficult place to win, certainly more difficult than a Super Bowl where you're obviously playing in Arizona. This year it's going to be in Las Vegas. So neutral site games aren't as difficult from that perspective. But the Eagles have more talent than the Chiefs. They had more talent in February. Have more talent now, but they could have lost this game. They're one play away. Scantling hangs on to that football, they probably lose the game.
And John, Shaun Desai clearly made very good adjustments after the halftime break. You can't say the same thing for Brian Johnson. Some screenplays there that a lot of people didn't like. But for you, what do you feel like Brian Johnson did well that maybe helped them win this game? And do you think going forward he will help them or hurt them in the offensive game plan?
Well, I think the game plan, this is Nick Sirianni's offense. I think people have to understand that this is Nick Sirianni's game plan. Every game they come into, it's a Nick Sirianni game plan. It was a Nick Sirianni game plan last year with Shane Steichen. He just has other people calling the plays because he wants to be the game manager and doesn't want to get bogged down with the play calling. So it's his offense. He's in control of it, and sort of Brian has the toggle. If you're a video game gal, so he's got the controller, but everything is laid out in front of him. It's not like he goes rogue and says, "I'm going to throw 57 bubble screens," which is what the Eagles kind of descended into at one point. So I wouldn't blame Brian for that. I do think it was kind of ugly at times with all those bubble screens. Clearly, the Eagles thought they had something there. It wasn't working, but they managed to make enough plays. They did use motion than usual. You saw a jet sweep to DeAndre Swift that went for 35 yards. You saw a lot of orbit motion. You saw receivers lining up in the backfield. So that was a little bit of a tweak coming out of the bye. But overall, they didn't play well offensively. They didn't get the passing game going. Now, maybe that was because of the weather, but there was really no consistency in that aspect. They were able to get Swift involved with some of the inside screens a little bit. Devontae had a big game. Other than that, not a good game from the passing part of it. And remember, they came in number 1 in the NFL in third down offense, and they started out 0 for 5, and they didn't convert a third down into that tush push late in the third quarter. So that's how long it took them to convert a third down, and that's why you see the play numbers are down. They didn't run a lot of offensive plays because they weren't out there a lot. So people are probably going to be happier with Shaun Desai this week because they closed better than they opened. If you go back before the bye, everybody was mad at Shaun Desai because they closed poorly and let Dallas back out of the game, back into the game. So I think that's kind of dependent on how people see the personality of the game.
John, I'm one of the few people that's going to be happy, with the offensive production in the second half. I just looked at the difference between production in the first half and production in the second half. They ran the ball 16 times in the second half, and they threw the ball 15 times in the second half. And while they might not have gotten, the pass game going on a wet night when the run game was probably going to be more important than the pass game, they found some balance with their offense when they really need to get the ball moving and get it going. Through the first 7 possessions of the game, they went punt, touchdown, interception, punt, 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 punt. And then they finished touchdown, punt, touchdown. So we can talk about, them wanting to get the pass game going, but it seems to me that this offense works more efficiently when they find some kind of balance. They started off the first touchdown drive, the second possession of the game, they went 9 plays, 75 yards, and 5 of those plays were runs by DeAndre Swift, and 1, the tush push, I believe it was the tush push, or it might have been a run by Hurts. 6 out of 9 plays, they actually run the ball. I think that there's some merit there that the game is still, the running game is still an important part of the game, which they sometimes abandon, even if they want to be a pass-first team.
Well, I think, to a certain degree, they abandoned it when Jalen was struggling. With the knee injury, I do think he was healthier today. And again, it wasn't necessarily about the numbers, but he carried it 12 times. You take out the tush pushes, you're down to 8 or 9. So he was back in the mode. He had the big quarterback draw for the touchdown as a perfect example of that. And that's a play that was really successful for the Eagles last season. Hasn't been as so this season, so that was important to get that going. But I got to tell you, Seth, when at the end of the game, when you have 238 yards of total offense and you're 3 for 11 on third downs, and you're coming into the game with a top 5 offense and the number 1 third down offense, you're not happy. I guarantee you, nobody's going home to Philadelphia tonight on the Philadelphia Eagles saying this was a good offensive performance. Now you can add in all the things that were going on, the difficult environment, the weather on top of it, and all of that is valid. But this team is never happy if they're only putting up 238 yards, 21 points, 27% on third down. That's just not the Philadelphia Eagles offense. They were able to win. They were able to persevere. They deserve credit for making some plays in the second half and coming back. But, yeah, I would not consider this a strong offensive performance.
Well, but you also got to give credit to the Kansas City Chiefs. This offense and this defense, as far as ranking and how they're playing, has just made a complete flip. The offense was the powerhouse of this team the last few years, and the defense was kind of the redhead stepchild, if you will. And that's changed this year. This team is only giving up 15 points per game. They're giving up 288 total yards of total offense. They're 4th in the NFL. They're 12th in third down conversions. They're 18th in red zone conversions. And against the pass, they're ranked 4th. So sometimes, you got to take everything with a grain of salt and ask yourself, okay, we're playing against guys that get paid to play, and we're in a hostile environment. And, oh, by the way, they give up 17. They're 17th against the run. They give up 112 yards per game on the ground. So you got to take all of those things into consideration. Yeah, the Eagles might not be happy with the offensive production, but you also got to give the Kansas City Chiefs and Steve Spagnola some credit for being able to, take an offense that's averaging, 368 yards per game and hold them to 233 yards per game.
Well, look, the Chiefs are much better defensively. There's no doubt about that. They've had a great season to this point defensively. But I would say about the Eagles, they wouldn't be happy with this performance against the 1985 Bears. So I'm not going to say this defense, which is playing well, and they couldn't block Chris Jones in the first half, and they got invested in the bubble screen for some reason in the second half. They're pretty consistent every week. They don't care who's on the other side because they think they're better than who's on the other side. That means the number 1 team and the number 32 team. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. Today they weren't offensively, but they were still able to get some plays done in some key moments. Andy Reid, as I mentioned, helped them out. But no, look, I know people love Steve Spagnola in Philadelphia. He's doing a great job. He's not the best defensive coordinator in football. He doesn't have a magic potion. He's got some talented players. He's done a good job, but the Eagles didn't play well. And the Eagles, when they don't get A.J. Brown involved, they're not happy. When they don't get 30-plus points, they're not happy. When they're converting 27% of third downs, they're not happy. And like I said, that could be against the 1985 Bears. They're not going to be happy.
John,
a lot of,
go ahead. Sorry.
A lot of that has to do with, I thought, as I said, if I saw one more bubble screen, I was going to poke my eyes out like everybody else. I don't know what they saw, what they were trying to do, but it was a weird, disjointed, and maybe it was just the weather. It was a weird, disjointed plan by the Philadelphia Eagles on the offensive side of the football. And I know to that degree, I'll counter it because people don't seem to like Brian Johnson. That ain't his game plan. That's Nick Sirianni. So if you want to blame somebody, blame the right person, and that's the head coach.
Yeah, I think we're trying to get those bubble screens to just get Jalen some freedom. He looked like he was getting engulfed in there, but it was a poor attempt at doing it. You said something earlier that they're the best team. They're better than the Chiefs. They're the best team in the NFL, if I heard you correctly. This Chief team looked like they were really exposed offensively tonight. It's not the same dynamic Mahomes getting the ball out. He's got Travis Kelce had a lackluster game, I thought, and their wide receivers really don't have any pizzazz at all. So can we take the Chiefs out of there as like this is a Super Bowl matchup, replay, I know, but can we take them out of there as the contender for the big prize against the Eagles?
I don't think they're going to go back to the Super Bowl. I do think Baltimore's a better team. I wouldn't take them out of the equation because I don't think there's any teams that can't be beaten. They do have the best player in the world. I do believe Patrick Mahomes is still the best player in the world. Maybe they figure something out when it comes to receiver. Maybe some of these young guys get it going. Maybe they get a better complement to Travis Kelce. But when you're making mistakes, their strengths are the head coach and the quarterback. Nick Sirianni was fired up, pointing to some of us reporters who picked the Chiefs to win the game because they had the better quarterback and the better coach. And he said, who's got the better quarterback? Who's got the better coach? Well, I still think the Chiefs do. By the way, I picked the Eagles to win, so I wasn't one of them. But nonetheless, I can't take them out of the equation, but they're not nearly as dangerous as they were, even dating back to February. Never mind how dangerous they were when they had Tyreek Hill. When it was at that point, you didn't know what to do with them. So clearly they're struggling. And by the way, they heard a lot of boos in the second half of this game at times when their offense was sputtering, which is kind of surprising. So they're a lot like Eagles fans in Kansas City. They've been spoiled by the success, and they're not playing up to their standard, and especially offensively. Yeah, it's turned, and Seth's right about that. The defense is better than the offense in Kansas City, and that's crazy when you think they have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid.
Farsi, you got the last question for John McMullen.
I'll try to make it a good one for you, John. This was, in all the wins they've had this season, this is the lowest point total they've had in any win this year. The only point total they have fewer than what they put up tonight was the 14 against the New York Jets in their loss. How much of that, aside from Brian Johnson, aside from play calling, how much of that was the impact of Dallas Goedert? Because anytime I'm able to talk to a member of the Philadelphia Eagles, they always talk about Dallas Goedert's role, obviously in the passing game, but in the run game is a tremendous help there as well. So just schematically going into this game and game plan-wise, how much of the impact was felt with Dallas Goedert not being in uniform tonight?
Well, I think a fair amount. I mean, they weren't able to get anybody involved in the passing game outside of Devontae. Then it was DeAndre Swift. But as far as the receivers, Julio Jones caught two bubble screens for 5 yards. A.J. Brown caught one pass for 8 yards. One pass for 8 yards, A.J. Brown. And Jack Stoll had 2 targets, caught 1 for 3. And Olamide Zaccheaus had 1 target. That's it. That's it. Now, a lot of that had to do with the lack of efficiency on third down. So, again, the play totals as a whole were down. So they only ran 49 offensive plays, which is not a good number. And they want that to be mid-60s, good games over 70 maybe. They weren't able to get that going early in the game, especially in the first half. But you have to give them credit. I mean, they are relentless. You make one mistake, and that's why I go back to Andy Reid, 4th and 4 from the 39. Look, maybe you don't get it, but you show confidence in your team. The Eagles still got to go a decent distance at that point. But by punting the football, by laying up as the Super Bowl champions in this era of football, I think that sends a message to your team, and it's not a good message.
That was Justin Watson messed up that punt, too, by the way. And not only did the ball go through his head, Justin Watson went to Penn. He's a Penn guy.
Oh, yeah.
John, thank you for hanging out with us at Arrowhead Stadium, or GEHA Field. We appreciate it. We will talk to you next week as the Eagles take on the Buffalo Bills. Thanks, buddy. We'll talk to you.
All right, thanks, guys.
John McMullen, brought to us by Del Val Insurance. Save up to 40% on your car insurance right now. Call your partners, Fran or Jim, at Del Val Insurance. Here's how you can connect with Del Val.
My name is Fran Salerno, and I'm a managing director here at Del Val Insurance Group. Been in the business for over 36 years, saving people money on their insurance needs. Give us a call. Let us help you custom design an insurance plan that meets both your needs and budget.
My wife was in an accident that changed our lives forever. She was in rehabilitation for years. She had to learn to walk again. She couldn't take care of herself. We couldn't afford a nurse. We were running out of options. One conversation with Pond Lehocky changed everything. They understood what we were going through and immediately helped us navigate the legal process. We can't thank them enough.
Pond Lehocky. Tell us your story.
field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Since 1977, it's always been about you, the community, at Rafferty Subaru. And through the Subaru Love Promise, we prove we care by supporting charities like So Good Now.
So Good Now helps kids in under-resourced areas by connecting them with student athletes to serve as mentors. We remove barriers so athletes can help youth in the corners of our communities where light and love are needed most.
When you choose Rafferty Subaru, you help organizations like So Good Now.
It's all about you at Rafferty Subaru.
Some say courage is something you're born with. Others say courage is something you find. In every generation throughout history, courage has been celebrated, sought after, needed. It holds the potential for a life of impact. But what if courage isn't just something you hope for or stumble upon? What if courage is something that can be shaped at a place that inspires you, where leaders invest in you, your community believes in you, and your life becomes something bigger than it could ever be alone?
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
EAGLES, Eagles.
It is the Pond Lehocky Eagles postgame show live from Ocean Casino. We are involved with a really good charity. We've got a great contest going on to accompany that. Mark Farzetta is going to tell us a little bit about it. Mark, tell us about EBOT.
Let me just start with the lead here. You're still in the lead, Mike Missinelli, with Team Miss over Team Joyner just by a hair. Team Gunner is making a strong comeback, and Team Farzi is left in the dust at this point. But anyway, we're going to tell you right now about this great partnership we have with the EBOD Foundation, EBOD. And just like in football, every team relies on the strength of its players working together as a team. Well, right now you could be part of that team and help combat Alzheimer's as well as dementia by getting involved in this great charity event with us. For a ticket to the big game sweepstakes, you simply text the word SCORE to 833-202-9835. That's 833-202-9835. Also use promo codes Team Miss, Team Seth, Team Gunn, and Team Farzi to be part of our golf teams and take part in this great foundation to help combat Alzheimer's and combat dementia as well with the EBOD Foundation. So make sure you take advantage of that, and you'll get tickets to the big game in Las Vegas as well. 2 nights in a hotel and 2 G's. That's $2,000 in cash for expenses for you. Just text the word SCORE to 833-202-9835, and you can get involved as well.
Sounds good. That was a cool graphic, by the way.
You like that graphic?
Yeah, very colorful.
Our graphic team did a lot of work on that.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to some game balls here, ladies and gentlemen. To me, kind of an underplayed guy. I'm going to go with Devontae Smith for my game ball. All of a sudden, you look up, and he had 99 yards receiving and a monster catch down the end where he really strategically warded off that cornerback and got it and draped it to get to the 1 yard line, and that turned out to be the game-winning touchdown. So I'm going to go with Devontae today.
Excellent choice, Mike. Excellent choice. I have to go with Jalen Hurts in tonight's game. Jalen Hurts set another record tonight. He's not only the youngest quarterback in the NFL since the 1970 merger to go 9-1 or better in 10 games the following season, back-to-back years of doing that, but also he broke a record that he was tied with Vinny Testaverde and Peyton Manning. When it comes to starting off your career, with 13 consecutive wins against winning teams. Nobody has done it 13 straight times. Jalen Hurts has. He's the only quarterback to do that.
Testaverde.
Vinny Testaverde and Peyton Manning.
I guess I could buy Peyton.
Vinny Testaverde. I was just as shocked as you to learn that little tidbit as well. I heard that earlier in today, and then he just broke the record tonight by being able to beat another winning team. So Jalen Hurts, and the way he placed that ball where it needed to be, he gets my game ball tonight.
Good inside information, man. So had I known that, I might have gone with Jalen.
You beat Vinny Testaverde. Who do you think he is, Tommy DeVito?
I think I have to go on the defensive side of the ball, and I'm going to give it to the defensive coordinator and Shaun Desai, because there's another game that I go to where I see that he really made that halftime adjustment. It was the Miami Dolphins with Tyreek Hill. And then he does it yet again against the Kansas City Chiefs. Travis Kelce only had 44 yards. Now, was that because Taylor Swift wasn't there, or was that because Shaun Desai had a really good game plan? I think Shaun Desai, with this young secondary, consistently having guys playing different roles, he's really done a good job as the defensive coordinator. We saw that tonight, and it's a huge reason they won the game. I mean, a shutout in the second half against Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce is something that would have won them the Super Bowl if he was there.
You know, I'm going with Jalen Hurts, and not because of why Mark is going with Jalen Hurts. After going 5 for 7 in the first half and being sacked 5 times and throwing an interception, dude just kept coming back. He just kept coming back. You know, and I know the run game in the second half with DeAndre Swift was a big deal. But Jalen Hurts was under duress all game long. And you know what? I didn't say it while John was on because I didn't want to, tick him off a little bit. But he said some things that I don't agree with. I really don't agree with the fact that Spagnola and this defense played a major role in why the offense wasn't as proficient as it should have been. I don't buy that. Because I believe that, nothing in the NFL happens by chance. You're either forcing things to happen or things are being forced upon you. Okay? So this offense, which, is one of the top 10 offenses in the National Football League, they weren't able to operate like they normally operate. Now, was that because, they just had an off night, or was it because the Kansas City Chiefs forced the issue? I've been around long enough to know that the Kansas City Chiefs forced the issue. A lot of quarterbacks, under the circumstances that Jalen Hurts found himself in the first half of this game, not only this game, but even the Dallas game, he goes in limping, at halftime and comes out and leads his team to victory. This guy is a straight-up warrior. And it wasn't, one of his greatest performances, but when you look at what he accomplished in the second half under the circumstances, they don't win this game without Jalen Hurts. They just don't win it without his performance. And, Devontae, great game. DeAndre, great game. The offensive line, your adjustment in the second half, great game. But they don't win this game without Jalen Hurts.
I agree, and I agree with you on Spagnola. He brought fierce heat in that first half, to the point where Jalen didn't know where to go with the ball, and he didn't know how to slither out of there. And I think he's really disabled when it comes to his legs and being able to squirm out of there. But Spagnola had every front covered, and the question I had was, why did he step off the pedal a little bit in the second half?
So interesting you say that, because we were all pretty animated about the bubble screens and the throws to the outside and all that stuff. And, Seth, I just saw your tweet during the postgame show about how angry you were. I heard you in the room, but then I saw the tweet as well. Is there now a method to the madness with Brian Johnson? Because it appeared to me that they started to not pack the middle of the line of scrimmage as much as they were through the vast majority of the game once they started being a little bit more reliant on those bubble screens or those quick throws to the outside. The other side of that is that we've seen it with Jalen Hurts in the past where he's kind of used that bubble screen as his safety net. We saw it in the Arizona Cardinal game last year. We saw it to a point last year where even Shane Steichen called it out to the media, where he wasn't throwing his quarterback under the bus so much, just saying might be a teaching moment with a young quarterback where maybe you can't rely on that as much. But it looked like, at least in this game, those screens and those quick throws to the outside started to provide a little bit more alleviate a little bit more of that pressure for Jalen Hurts to maybe make that throw down the field or maybe set up a good run for DeAndre Swift and start going between the tackles a little bit more often and down the middle of the field? Is there a little bit of a, now I see the method to the madness after the game as opposed to going through it in the moment?
Well, I think in light of some of the successes that they had after the Kelsey turnover, the thing I didn't like, and I understood, now that I'm thinking about it, I understand why they did it. They were backed up a little bit, and they wanted to get a little bit of breathing room. So understanding that Spagnola was not going to just sit back and allow Jalen Hurts time to throw the ball down the field. So the ball had to come out. Most teams run hot routes. They run sight adjustments against that type of pressure. The Eagles don't do a lot of that. They rely on their protection to pick it all up. And even with their protections, they couldn't pick it up. Spagnola does a good job of disguising what he's actually trying to do. Does a good job of walking guys up, pulling guys out, making it look like this guy's coming, bringing somebody else from the other side. So he created this confusion. And the only way that they could really slow it down, like I said, was draws, delayed draws, and screens. What I didn't like was the first down screen that they ran, because you were conceding to the fact, you were conceding to the fact that they were going to that they were coming with pressure on first down. Well, they were doing it for the run, but you can pick that up with the running back. They're usually just sending the extra linebacker. So maybe you come with that on second down and you catch them off guard, but you ran it boom, boom, 2 times in a row and it didn't work. But then when they started running to DeAndre Swift, and had we had Dallas Goedert, we would have probably ran some tight end screens at the same time. That's the way you slow down these aggressive style defenses that are just not going to let you sit back and do what you want to do. You have to have something. And if you're not a sight adjustment team, if you're not a quick game team, then you better be a darn good screen team and a good draw team in order to slow defenses down.
All right, it is time now for our drive of the game, and it's presented by Rafferty Subaru. It's all about you at Rafferty Subaru. Drive of the game. Now, the first drive that they scored was important because Kansas City had taken the lead. But I got to go with the last drive, the one that gets them to 21 points, because they started that drive at the 20-yard line and got the ball down the field. And in that drive, and we're talking about Jalen Hurts, when he needs to make a play, he makes a play. 3rd and 5 at the 45. Short middle pass to Devontae Smith, converts it for 13 yards. The next play is the deep pass to Devontae Smith to the right for 41. 2 monster plays that he makes when he needed to make it. So I'm going to go with that as the drive of the game, because after that, of course, it was the tush push for the touchdown, an unstoppable play. That's my drive of the game.
It was the game that clinched it for it, without question. And that was the first time, really, since the first half where you saw that first drive that you mentioned, they really started to have some fluidity to that offense. You mentioned it right there, 7 plays, 80 yards, only ate up 2 minutes and 36 seconds, but it was efficiency. And you had not seen efficiency from the Eagles' offense hardly at all throughout this entire game. But that's where they were able to reestablish themselves. And one of the huge plays on that was the 20-yard play by DeAndre Swift, because that's where you saw DeAndre Swift run angry. And I think the guy on the other side of the football field, Isaiah Pacheco, runs angry and runs aggressive. And I really, other than the fact the Eagles suffered from him in the Super Bowl, I admire the guy for running hard like that, right? DeAndre Swift was able to do that for the Eagles in tonight's game. That was one instance where he did it. Another instance was that, and I'll give credit to Brian Johnson for this, that jet sweep that they ran with DeAndre Swift was a great one as well, where he went for 35 yards. But you started to see him run angry, but that 21-yard run by him on that drive, Mike, was the one that really showed you that he could get that running game going again.
I have to agree with both of you guys there. You talk about that huge feed to Devontae Smith and the tush push, puts them up 21-17. But guys, there was still 6:20 left in the fourth quarter. Not only does that have the offense go up, but I also think it gave the defense a ton of confidence going back out there and saying, okay, we've got your back. We're going to close this game out for you. Shaun Desai and that defense was ready. They just needed a little bit of breathing room, and they were able to do just that. 6:20 left. To Patrick Mahomes, that's like a whole game. Somehow the defense is able to put a stop to it, but it doesn't happen unless Jalen Hurts makes that drive happen.
Let me put the truth meter on you then.
Ooh.
With 6:20 left, did you think that the Chiefs were going to come back down and score?
I did. I did, and I have to say I did because, listen, Patrick Mahomes to me is like what I feared in Tom Brady. You can give him 40 seconds left on the clock, and he can make something happen. But I also didn't think that Shaun Desai was going to have the second half that he did, and we talked about it at halftime. We've seen him do it, but for him to be able to do it at this extent, shut Patrick Mahomes out in the second half, I mean, this is what excites me about the Eagles going forward.
I'll say I didn't think they were going to win. They had a chance, a snowball's chance in hell, and they won.
6-20 with a lot of time.
I'm gonna go in a different direction because I kind of feel like the Eagles went into halftime kind of down because they have an opportunity to draw even, and they don't get it done. They have to punt. The last 2 drives of the first half, they go 4 plays, 3 yards, 3 plays, -5 yards, and they have to punt. Then they come back out after halftime. They go 3 plays, 1 yard punt, 3 plays, 6 yards, and punt. That eighth drive was pivotal because when Hurts runs that ball in from 10 yards out, now the game is 14-17, and there's a true belief that they have the ability to win this football game. And I think that to me is the drive of the game, because even though they come back two series later to actually take the lead, I don't think that they really believed that they could win that game until they scored that 7-play, 61-yard drive and the Jalen Hurts quarterback sweep for the touchdown.
That's a good call by you, and I'm shocked that you didn't mention what started that drive.
What started that drive?
Your boy with the punt return.
Oh, you know I love Kobe, man.
Come on, that's the linchpin. Kobe with a great return there starts that drive.
Let me blow your mind. Kobe averaged 17.7 yards per punt return tonight.
Solid game.
He's the biggest Kobe fan. I swear to
Love
God.
that dude, man. I'm telling you right now, I'm calling it. He is going to return one before the season is over. You watch. Just watch.
Yeah, you got 100 on it with me. I know.
Yes, I do. And I'm giving you 2-1 odds.
Yes, you are. All right.
He's got a game check on the line tonight. I just got to find that Gannon stat. And then
let me tell you something. That game check is a healthy
telling
game
you, man,
check.
I do not believe that Jonathan Gammon pressured 20-plus times. I know for a fact that for the most of
percent. I said percent.
Percent.
Okay.
Nowhere near 20%.
Okay.
I believe his number was something like 14% for the whole year last year. Where people are coming up with this 20%.
They have to be making it up.
No,
they have to.
They are making it up.
It's false
Eagles
information.
PR. Eagles
false
PR.
information.
Just flooding the media with it.
Eagles PR?
No, I'm just saying. If you're going to say it's not true, who else would be the source?
There's no way. There's no way.
Let's take a break. I got a theory, too, because I've already said that I think that Taylor Swift not being at the game affected Travis Kelce a little bit. And I think in Argentina, when she got word that her man had a big turnover in the game and the Chiefs lost, I think it ruined her concert in Argentina. Now, I don't know for a fact, but I'm going to get my spies on that, whether this was a good Taylor Swift concert in Argentina tonight. I think it goes both ways, Seth. Love struck.
Man, let me tell you something. That game did not affect her concert one iota. Her not being at Arrowhead Stadium affected his performance.
See, okay, at least you agree with me on that.
Hey, listen, man.
He was foggy tonight.
If he know like I know, he'd end this mess right now before it becomes the end of his career.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. It is the Pond Lehocky Eagles postgame show live from Motion Casino. Back after this.
Go for the pulls and the pools. Go for the oohs and the ahs. Go for the bubbles and the bubbly. Go for the story and the stories. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pond Lehocky, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
My name is Fran Salerno, and I'm Managing Director here at Del Valle Insurance Group. Been in the business for over 36 years, saving people money on their insurance needs. Give us a call. Let us help you custom design an insurance plan that meets both your needs and budget.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
Do you stream on a Roku, a Fire Stick, Google TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app. Watch Action News live.
And the big story on Action News.
Plus special programming, breaking news, and severe weather updates.
Tremendous amounts of rain.
Always on. Always the news team you trust. Watch 6ABC 24/7 on your streaming device. Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
EAGLES, Eagles.
All right, the Eagles win it 21-17, and looky here, look who's on the set with us. It is the great Dr. Bruce Grossinger, our own sports doc. Dr. Bruce, a couple injuries today. You had Milton Williams go out, and you had Calcaterra go out with a little ankle situation. What's the update on those two gentlemen?
Well, in the friendly fire department, Milton Williams got a really nice hit by Nicholas Burrow, his own guy. Head snapped back. He's in the concussion protocol. He was not knocked out fully. Greg Calcaterra, already insult to injury. Tight ends low. An undisclosed ankle injury, probably not a fracture. They're the two main injuries. Good news department, Dallas Goedert had only a simple fracture, not a comminuted fracture. Underwent a rotting and should be back in 2 to 3 weeks, and badly need him at tight end.
What is the routing?
Yeah,
I should say a rotting.
Rotting.
So sorry, it's late. Not a routing. So essentially, didn't sound good. But basically, it's when they take a titanium rod and connect two pieces of the ulna bone, and they let it heal, and it actually stays in there. And he'll be wearing one of those Gronkowski-type forearm braces, and he should be actually back in play in 2 weeks, which is great news for the Eagles.
2 weeks?
That's what I hear.
Wow.
He was not placed on IR, Seth.
Oh, I know that.
And so that is that's the projection.
So will he miss the next 2 games, or will he be back for the second game?
He'll miss the next 2 games and be back presumably for game 3. At least that's the projection right now. So that's way better than we thought. When we thought there was an actual dislocation and comminuted fracture, that would have been season-ending. So Goddard dodged the bullet with that particular injury.
Dallas will come back for Dallas.
I know I'm out of order. Excuse me, Mark, but I got it. Because I'm excited about this. Are you kidding me?
The rotting?
I'm excited about the fact that Dallas Goedert could be back in 2 weeks. Are you kidding me? That's a major coup for the Eagles. But what's the downside of bringing him back that early? Because if he re-breaks it or he re-injures it in any way, then he's done for the season.
Okay, so Let me explain. So the two parts of the bone had a simple dislocation, and there is a rod which will stabilize the bone. And so obviously they're not going to have him come back unless the callus is formed properly. He'll also, if you remember, Gronkowski played with even worse injuries, and he wore an amazing brace. So the projection is he'll be back in 3 weeks. So that's they would have put him in IR, but for the nature of the injury.
All right. That sounds good. That's very optimistic. So let's get the look ahead now, because the Eagles, a game that a lot of people thought they would lose, they get a W out of it. They're now, it's 4 in a row as they host Buffalo next Sunday afternoon at 4:25. Who knows how good the Bills are? I have no idea from week to week whether they're formidable or not. And then, of course, San Francisco at home before they go to Dallas and Seattle. So, Seth, how are we feeling about next week?
It all depends on how we're going to play run defense, because I think one of the biggest problems that Buffalo has had is that when they've been inconsistent, they haven't been able to run the football. They came out the other night, Sunday night, and actually ran the football and ran it successfully. So if the Eagles gave up, 168 total yards today on 30 carries, it's 5.6 yards per carry, and they've got to figure that out. Now, I don't know. I know that Shaun Desai didn't want to get into too much five-man front, because that's where they're best at really stopping the run. He didn't want to get into too much of it because that makes you weaker on the back end, and he didn't want to put his DBs in that situation against Patrick Mahomes. So you're going to kind of face the same thing with Josh Allen next week, a guy that can make all the throws, a top-flight wide receiver who's frustrated right now, a really good tight end. So if they can get the run game under control like they have leading, through the first 9 weeks of the season, then I feel very good about this game, because Josh Allen is just not the same quarterback when he doesn't have that run game to actually back him up.
Yeah. And 7 straight games with an interception, by the way. At least one interception. 7 straight games for Josh Allen.
I don't know how good they are. I really don't. It wouldn't surprise me if the Eagles win the next 3 games. in this monster schedule. They're going to lose this, we're going to lose that. They might sweep through it.
If the Eagles could find a way to beat the Chiefs, what else? At this point, what else do they need? The other game that's circled on this calendar, other than the Cowboys game, when both games are always circled on that calendar, but is the 49ers game. And my only concern, and one of the things I love about this Eagles team, is how much they're able to pull focus and how much Nick Sirianni finds a great way to motivate these guys each and every week, is that I don't know if they're able to have that letdown game. But if they are, this might be one of those games against the Buffalo Bills. I think they're the far superior team to the Buffalo Bills. This is a dangerous game. This is a dangerous game because they're supposed to win this one.
I don't think so.
You don't think so at all?
No,
With the 49ers after that?
You want to know why I don't think so? I don't think so, not because, it's a
letdown game, trap game, whatever, yeah.
I don't believe in that anyway.
Okay.
But, I don't believe it's a trap game because, they've been in this situation with the Jets game where they were looking ahead, and got skinned. The other thing is, Buffalo has been looked upon as one of the teams that, that are Super Bowl contenders, even though their record doesn't reflect it. And that's why I said the psychology of winning today was more important than if they lost this game. It wasn't a must-win from a record standpoint. It was a must-win from a psychological standpoint, because they needed to beat a team like Kansas City on the road for confidence reasons. So now, why would they lack any confidence against the Buffalo Bills coming into the link after you just had to go to Kansas City and play the team that beat you in the Super Bowl last year? There's not going to be any letdown there.
Oh, I don't think that they're going to be lacking confidence. I think it would be – look, I still think they can win that game. I'm just saying – I think they will win that game. I'm just saying that game is a little bit more dangerous because I think so many people are going to expect them to win it. Plus, I don't want them to ruin wearing the Kelly Green jerseys again on that night.
Listen, thank you.
You're welcome.
The toughest game I think that they're going to face down the stretch, and you guys, are going to be shocked that I'm saying this. The toughest game that they're going to have down the stretch is going to be the Dallas game, because having to go to Dallas is going to be that marquee game. I still believe that they're a better team than San Francisco. The offensive line is going to have to play better because with all of those pass rushes on that San Francisco line, they're going to have some issues. They're going to have their hands full with Chase Young and Bosa on the other side, and Javon Hargrave rushing up the middle. But I think that the Dallas game, that's going to be the game because it's the divisional game, and Dallas is going to be fighting for their playoff lives. San Francisco is already in a good spot, and they're playing some games that they're going to win the next week before they actually face the Eagles. But, I don't see them losing to the Bills. It'd be a major letdown. It'd almost be like the Jets game if they lost to the Bills, in my opinion.
We shall see what we shall see. Thanks, everybody, for staying up late with us on the Pond Lehocky Eagles postgame show. For Mark Farzetta, for the Doc, for Kayla Santiago, for Seth Joyner, and especially for Derek Gunn back at home. Take care of your family, D. Gunn, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. Spend some great time with your family. Eat some turkey. Make sure your Uncle Joe snored on the Barco Lounger after the turkey doesn't mess up your dessert. All right? Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody. We will talk to you next Sunday right here from Ocean Casino on the Pond Lehocky Eagles postgame show. Good night, everybody.
Hey Philly, it's Tom Giordano from Pond Lehocky. Follow us on Instagram for your chance to win free Eagles tickets all season long. That's right, I'm talking regular season, playoffs, and even the Super Bowl. So follow us on Instagram for your chance to win free Eagles tickets.
Philadelphia fans, we're cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pond Lehocky, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
I get scared sometimes.
Of a lot of things.
Joining in.
Decisions.
The dark.
The dark.
But I once heard someone say,
but as I always say,
it's okay to be afraid.
As long as you face the fear.
And keep moving forward.
Wherever you are in life, count on the name trusted in insurance for over 80 years. Independence Blue Cross.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
My name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech, we offer 3 major services. The first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Hi, I'm Jim Muehlbronner, Managing Partner at Del Valle Insurance Group. Give us a call. We're a local, knowledgeable agency, not an 800 number. Go Birds!
Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
EAGLES. Eagles.